So we're here today at Fresham Heights, the school where we delivered this beautiful library pod. I'm sat here with Nick, who is the client, and he's going to answer some questions about what the pod is like, what his thoughts are on the delivery, the pod itself, and we're just going to have a wee chit chat about the pod. So we are. It was Elena who came to us back in October last year.
Yeah.
Whenever we first discussed the project, what was the original vision for the library pod, and what made you decide to go for this here?
So we obviously want a library for the nursery to 3 part of our school. We wanted something different. We wanted something really bespoke. We wanted something that sort of fit the ethos of the school. It's a bit of a different school. Something that would create imagination, inspire, create a bit of wonder with the children. So when Alana came and found the pod, it seemed like the perfect fit and ticked all of those boxes. And that's where sort of the process began. I think the creative process with you, and it's been really nice because I think there's been lots of people involved with you along the journey. So that's where we've got to, and hence why we're sat in it today.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that because I designed the pod with Louise, so we sat down and we had Zoom calls. There was lots of email exchanges back and forth, and we put all the 2D and 3D drawings together. But everything in here, from the seats to the shelves, was all designed by Louise and Alana. So they had a really good job of actually visualizing it before it came together, and then with our 3D drawings, we made it what it is. But what's the reason behind, the layout of it and the shelves and the seats, and could you tell me a bit about what the objective was with the inside layout?
Yeah, I suppose the aim of the pod is to create a space that's really inspiring, that's really comfortable, that's really calm. I love the big window at the end, the big light piece that comes in. We've got the big door that leads out onto our courtyard, which gives us plenty of space to take the library from inside to out as well. But in the colder times, obviously the heating, the lights, it's going to be a really cozy effect. So it's this really, I suppose, transferable space that will work in all seasons for us as a school.
Yeah.
While keeping that consistency of creative, sort of inspiring imagination, a place where children want to come and be and spend time. That's, I suppose, one of the big key factors to it.
And like you mentioned earlier, Nick, we're going to have bean bags and stuff all around the outside. So I guess part of the project is that the pod itself can be a part of the environment on the outside as well, and it can really filter in with what you're going to do outside too.
Exactly. It's how do you take this space outside as well, and it seems to be, we're lucky to have that space as well, but this was the perfect location for it as well, in the sort of the very heartbeat of the nursery to 3 part of the school. It gives us a lot of opportunity.
One of the trickiest parts about this project from our perspective was actually these seats here. This is a part of the project that we've never done before specifically, but Louise was very, very open about the fact that she wants these a specific colour, and we have a lot of suppliers that we work with, and it was really, really challenging to find one that could produce these. So we searched long and hard over all of Europe to find a supplier that we could actually get to make these, but we got them made. And it's a really interesting part of the project because this is bespoke specifically for Fresham Heights, and I just want to get your thoughts on the quality of these here, and if you feel like we achieved what you wanted through this process.
Look, I think we chose the pod because it gave us that bespoke approach. It let us choose exactly how we wanted it, and then you brought that to life. So the end product, the colours, the shelf design, everything in here is exactly how we wanted it, and a real tribute to that creative process and the flexibility that you gave us, and just made it happen.
And now, what about delivery? Could you tell me a wee bit about how the day actually went whenever we delivered the pod?
Obviously at school it's a massive exciting day. The whole junior school was watching. Really straightforward and easy, all done within an hour. Amazing guy turned up on his truck. We craned it up over the junior school office into our courtyard. It was all done in an hour. It was all done really professionally, easily, quickly. And was a really exciting moment for the school at the end of a busy term. So it was very, very smooth and easy.
I'm sure there was a lot of students that were ogling at the pod as it was being craned over.
We had a massive countdown going on in the hall. The children absolutely loved it. It was a proper spectacle, which obviously has a bit more magic to what it is, and make them feel part of that process too, which they absolutely loved.
And the children have actually already named the pod, or we're getting close to the point of naming it.
Yeah, I think we're going to go for the Book Hive.
The Book Hive, wonderful.
A busy space of reading, of wonder, of imagination, of children, you know, getting interested in words and language and literature. So yeah, it's been named by them, and an exciting space for the school. It's a new chapter for us in that realm.
Yeah, of course, and we're very glad that we could help foster this part of your project.
It's been great. It's been an easy process. Like I said, we've had, from our school perspective, a lot of people involved in it, from, you know, teachers to bursars, to the site manager, to myself. There's been lots of people involved, but that's been very simple and easy for a big group. So that whole collaborative process, I think, is a real tribute to the success of this and how brilliantly the result has turned out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we aim for at Glamp Launch. We want to be the one stop that people can come to. So we start with design and specifications and delivery. We want to just do everything for our clients, and it's really good to see that we were able to work with so many different parts of the team, and it was all able to come together the way it did. So we're very proud of it as well on our end.
You should be. We've had all the team come down today and say hello and catch up with you, right? Because you've been a great person who's managed that. So I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about having that process where everybody feels comfortable and happy.
Yeah, I agree.
So I suppose from a school perspective, there's a flexibility there. Can they be designed differently so you can connect together and do it differently with that? Does that work as well?
Yeah. So for example, we can take our glamping pods and we can take two of the pods themselves and join them together. So it creates one large space. And if we're able to do that for glamping, then we can do it for our schools too. So in theory, we could take this pod and we could put another one here and double the length of it and put a door in between them. So there's so many possibilities and configurations. Like this one could stay as a library pod, and then the one over there could be a music studio pod, for example. So lots of customization options, and everything's bespoke like we talked about. So from an educational perspective, that's amazing, because you could have a day house, you know, you could turn to so many different things. You could turn into a learning session, you could turn into a breakout room, an outdoor classroom, you know, there's loads of options here. So I suppose once again that just adds more to the flexibility of the space. Yeah, for sure. At the time, what gave you the confidence to actually move forward with Glamp Launch? I think it was just the interactions with yourself. I know across that, like I said, that whole team, they had, you know, got great positive interactions. So the aim was like, we've got a product, we really love it, it's bespoke, let's go forward. I think it was that sort of the bespoke piece that we weren't getting in other places, and the expense. It was cost effective. It was compared to other things that we wanted to do, it was very achievable. Yes, that's why we would move forward in that way. And in terms of the budget and the price of the pod, it was well within your budget and well within range of what you wanted? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I suppose we started out on a journey not knowing probably what we wanted and had to look at all the different options, but in a world where, you know, everybody's managing their money quite carefully, as a school we have to do that. This was definitely the most cost-effective way of giving us a really great space and an affordable price. Was there anything that you were a wee bit unsure about at the start that you thought might have caused issues but actually turned out to be okay or better than expected? I suppose getting it in time, getting in for the end of the term, it was really important. I mean, we will launch it officially when we come back, you know, when it's all officially stocked and done in that way. But making sure it was here. We really wanted the children to see that sort of end of term thing, give them that wow factor before they left, so they would come back excited about it. And that all came to fruition. So it was something that we didn't really need to worry about. Perfect. It all happened really well. Great. So would you recommend Glamp Launch to any other private schools or any public sector schools for something like this here, similar to what you have yourselves? Yeah, 100%. I think the beauty of it is it's a really flexible space, and we had a good chat earlier on, didn't we, about it, and it being really flexible, and the beauty is you can make it as bespoke as you want. You've designed the inside piece of it. So yeah, 100%. And I know we're going to talk to you again at looking at other options around our site for different uses, not just a library but other versions of it. So yeah, very much so. Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, like we talked about earlier as well, we have another client, another private school who we're doing music pods for. Yeah. So it's really interesting for us too that we can turn the same structure into either a library pod or a pod for music as well. So it's really interesting how versatile it is. Yeah, really great for schools. It could be a learning space in so many different guises. So yeah, I love the versatility of it. Yes, definitely would recommend it. Nick, what would you then say to another school or a business that's unsure about working with a smaller or a newer supplier?
Yeah, I think it's about getting all your information. I suppose it's about making sure you've got a good communication flow.
Yeah.
We've had a great communication, like I say, across numerous people with you as sort of the main figure. And that's worked really, really well. But without that communication, it would create doubt, right?
Yeah.
So you sort of harnessed that and made us feel comfortable and calm about that, and then sort of gone forward. So I think it's about communication, and making sure that you feel listened to. As you know, we felt really listened to through the creative process. And we ended up with great results. So for me, communication is the key bit of that, especially with smaller, younger companies.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's also one thing that's really important for us as well, is because we're a new company, we want to make sure that we can tailor, no pun intended, the projects exactly to our clients. So it's really important for us too that we can offer that bespoke level of service. So on my end, I'm really happy that we were able to hit the mark and achieve what it is that we actually set out to achieve, because the pod now is almost absolutely identical to the 3D drawings that we produced back in February, and here we are now looking at it. It's almost the same, so it's really good for us to see how it came together.
It's a great result, exactly what we were after.
So just looking at the overview of this project, like Ilana first came to us in October 2024, and then we started actually designing the project in January, because that's whenever I spoke with Ben, the principal, and he kind of gave the go ahead, and then me and Louise took the time from January through to February to get everything designed. And through that point we went back and forth with the drawings, and I came to Louise and said, "Are you happy with this?" And Louise said no, and then we made changes and revisions. And then once we finally had everything in the pod perfected, which was around end of February, then I spoke with Roz, who's obviously the director of finance, and she'd done her due diligence checks on us to make sure that everything was okay. I had many conversations with Roz, and then at that point the deposit was paid in early March or so. And then we put the pod into production in June, and then we delivered it on the 1st of July. So the whole process took about 9 months of communication to the final pod being delivered, but it's just really interesting to see how it all came together through every stage of the process.
Yeah, it felt like a relatively easy, calm, smooth process. Like you said, I keep referring back to the fact so many people are involved, but that wasn't a problem. You know, from the creative piece to the financial piece to the delivery piece and to the piece of us talking right now, it's all felt really smooth and easy. So I think 9 months was a really sort of suitable, achievable timeline overall. Yeah,
especially because the actual production to delivery time frame was only really about eight weeks or so. So the rest of it beforehand was just coordinating the project and getting the design done. So the actual production period is quite good. It's quite fast, and then the delivery was done instantly in an hour. So it was on the day. So it's good to put it all together and just to see how it all comes together. So I'm very happy with it on our end from Glamp Launch. So we are. So once again, thank you very much, Nick, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A few moments later. 2,000 years later. 1 eternity later.
A wee chit chat about the pod. So we are. Is that okay for an introduction? One of the...
From talking to saying something to me, because it's...
Oh, is that girl I see staring straight back at me?
Yeah, I didn't really need to worry about.
Perfect.
It all happened really well.
Great. So, sorry, made me laugh there saying that. So, would you recommend Glamp Launch to any other schools or public sector